Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Everything is Bad new Fangled motion picture show.
Do you think Mark Wahlberg is ever gonna not be Marky Mark to people? Like, do you think there will be a point where people just don't remember the Funky Bunch and just know him as Mark Wahlberg?
Probably.
But it is not this day.
No.
Definitely not.
It's not this day.
Man, because every time you see advertisements for a Mark Wahlberg movie, you see starring Mark Wahlberg. Whenever people are talking about a Mark Wahlberg movie, they always call it the new Marky Mark movie. Anyway, we're here to review the new Marky Mark movie.
Mile 22.
Yep. Welcome to the new Fangled Motion Picture Show. I am one of your hosts, Niall.
And I am the other host, Nolan.
And we're going to be doing a spoiler-free review. Not that there's a whole lot to spoil on this one, because it's a pretty straightforward action movie.
Yeah.
There's like one twist.
There is a twist.
There's like one twist. But we'll get into that in the spoiler bit. So we'll do spoiler-free part, then give you a spoiler warning and go more in depth into it after that.
So, if I'm not mistaken, Niall, I believe this is our 60th episode.
Okay. Is it really?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Been doing these ever since Alien Covenant. That was our first one.
I mean, we don't number these. How do you know it was our 60th? Did you count them?
I number them in the files.
Oh.
To make sure everything stays in order.
Well then. I wish we had like a better movie to be such a groundbreaking milestone for us.
Yeah, so this movie is alright.
This movie is a great action movie. But the story is very...
Yeah, the action sequences are really good, but the story itself is just kind of okay.
I mean, there's a lot wrong with the story, honestly, and the character development.
Yeah,
I think calling it okay is a little too generous, honestly.
Yeah, I guess so. I think it's
this movie feels very much like those these like Asian action movies we're getting now, like The Raid and its sequels,
right?
Where it's like, yeah, there's a story, but the story is just a vessel to deliver action sequences to you.
Yeah.
It felt very much like that kind of a format. But, going into it knowing that, it delivers.
Yeah, it does.
I will say this is, in my opinion, Ronda Rousey's best role.
She's not in it very much.
She's not, and that's why it's her best role. She doesn't say a lot.
Yeah,
we'll get more into Ronda Rousey, like we'll get more into her role in the movie in the spoiler part.
Yeah, in case you're unaware, the basic premise is Mark Wahlberg leads this CIA special forces team.
Yeah, not even CIA. Like, they do jobs for the CIA, but not technically, because they don't really come out. Well, they were all CIA, but they all had to quit. They all had to sign resignation letters from the CIA to do this op, and they made it seem like they had to do this every time they do an op.
Right.
And I think it's for deniability. They didn't really explain that. I would assume it was for deniability.
Anyway,
reasons.
they work for the CIA, and they do these special operations things and anti-terrorism stuff or whatever, and they're in a unnamed Southeast Asian country.
Yeah,
they never name it.
They never. Yeah.
It's filmed in where was it? Colombia.
Colombia?
Yeah, they shot it in Colombia. But it takes place in Southeast Asia, wherever that, and
generic Southeast Asia.
Yeah, and this is all in the trailer. Some guy he's like a soldier or a cop actually comes in and he says he has evidence that this country is going to attack America and he wants out of the country, and so this team is taking him from the American embassy to the airport, so they can get on a plane to America before he'll give them the information they need to stop these nuclear attacks.
Yeah, they're not like.
And then the whole way there, this country's government is sending teams after them to stop them. And
right, and they're not like nuclear fission devices. This is like just for a dirty bomb to make a city uninhabitable due to radiation.
It's a radioactive powder that they would like put in an explosive and blow up, and then it would all come down on the city, and the city would all get cancer and stuff.
Right.
Radiation poisoning and whatnot. But it's enough. There's enough in question that could wipe out like it was like 4 or 6 major cities or something like that, and
yeah,
make them completely uninhabitable and whatnot. So
cesium.
Yeah,
I think is what it was, right?
Yeah, I think so. So that's the basic plot, and it's just them escorting this guy from point A to point B, and this guy is like this martial arts kung fu guy. I don't know if I've seen this actor in anything before. He's kind of familiar looking, but
it was interesting the way it went between the sequences with
oh yeah, he's in the raid.
He's the main character in the raid.
Yeah, that's where I saw him from.
Yeah.
So again, it's kind of like the raid, but in a lateral direction instead of a vertical one.
What I found kind of interesting though is that
because it's 22 miles from the embassy to the airport. That's why it's mile 22.
Yeah, what I found interesting though is that all the scenes focusing around Mark Wahlberg and Lauren Cohen and Ronda Rousey were all like American style action movies. So there's like car chases and shootouts with assault rifles and stuff, and then all the sequences,
very little close quarters combat. And what's there is more like brawl, like grappling, you know.
Yeah, and then all the scenes with Iko Uwais, I think is how you pronounce his name. The guy they're escorting to the airport.
Yeah, they're all like martial arts.
They're all like super martial arts, intense stuff, like straight up like, you know, the kung fu scenes from the raid type thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, both were really well done. Something I really appreciated about this is the guns sounded good. Like,
well, this guy is the same director as Lone Survivor, right?
Yes.
I would imagine he probably used his same military advisor or group of military advisors.
The guy who directed it produced Lone Survivor?
Oh.
I don't know if he directed it.
Well, anyway, yeah, I mean, he
also produced this.
I'm sure he has, you know, some pretty good military advisors and weapons experts to help him out on this sort of stuff.
Yeah. But it's something that movies get wrong a lot is like what it sounds like when a high-powered rifle fires. It's a very like snappy sound. There's no like big boom or anything. It's a very short sound.
Well, it's funny. Reminds me of Ben Burt, who did all the sound effects for the first 6 Star Wars movies and the Indiana Jones movies. He was talking about when he was doing the sound design for the Raiders of the Lost Ark, and he's like, the way he figured out, like, do I make realistic gun sounds or over the top gun sounds? And he's talking to Steven Spielberg. He's like, well, what kind of movie is this? And Spielberg's like, well, his hat never falls off. All right, I know what to do.
Yeah.
Over the top gun sounds and not realistic ones.
Right.
That's why, you know, Indiana Jones's revolver has this like cannon-like noise to it.
Yeah. So the director of this movie, I just confirmed, Peter Berg, he did direct Lone Survivor as well as produce it.
Yeah, I thought he directed it.
And he also produced Deepwater Horizon, so I guess he just likes working with
Mark Wahlberg. Yeah.
So so this being a pretty crazy action movie, some of the acting isn't the best. Like, there's some scenes where you're listening to Mark Wahlberg and you're like, He's trying really hard to not sound like he's from Boston right now.
Yeah, he tries to cover his accent, and
Normally he's really good about covering his accent, but there's a few scenes where he's like really...
because he's yelling in a lot of scenes, and I think probably when you're like raising your voice, you're yelling, and
it's probably
harder high intense. It's probably harder to hide that. Because his character is very intense, and he has like these anger issues, and so he's yelling a lot, like out of anger and frustration.
Yeah.
And he has these long-winded diatribes about stuff, and he's just this rants that he goes on, and because they build the character like
he's supposed to be this like savant character.
He's supposed to be like this sort of savant, like hyper intelligent person, but he has like this anger issue that's part of that, and everything.
The problem is they don't really develop that hyper intelligence that
yeah,
well.
They never really show that. They tell you that it's there, but they never give you any instances of him actually using the hyper intelligence.
Yeah, he
comes across as angry.
He comes off as an asshole.
He just comes off as an asshole all the time, and you never really see. He doesn't solve any problems or anything using this intelligence he supposedly has. So I mean, I guess you don't get into that position, the head of a elite strike team in the CIA, without being very intelligent, but there's nothing to demonstrate that intelligence. Other people are doing all the problem solving in the movie.
Yeah. I mean, not that there's a lot of problems. It's like they'll get into a place and they'll take shelter in a building to get off the street, and they'll call their like team that's supporting them with information and satellite feeds and stuff. They'll like call them and go, "Hey, we need an exit from this building," and they'll tell them where to go.
Well, in fact, I think his second Lauren Cohen, her character, she does like a lot of like on her feet, quick thinking stuff more than Mark Wahlberg does. A lot of like, how do I get out of this situation? She
gets in a couple fights with some dudes that are like way outweigh her, you know.
And it's because she doesn't beat them up. She outsmarts them. She outsmarts them.
Yeah, and we don't really get that from Mark Wahlberg.
Right.
And there was also some like, I'll get more in depth into it in the spoiler part, but there was some character development that just went nowhere in this movie.
Yeah.
It really felt like they cut this movie down from a longer movie.
The movie's only about 90 minutes, too. Yeah. 95, I think.
So, you know, like I said, the story's not real great. Really good action sequences, though. If you just want to sit in the air conditioning in a movie theater for a while and shovel popcorn in your face...
Or even if you're like a film student and you just like you want to study how to like shoot fight sequences.
Yeah. All the fight choreography and the gunplay is all really well done.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know who wrote it, so I don't know if it's necessarily the director's fault that the story kind of falls flat, but
let's see here. Yeah, the director does not have a writing credit, so
yeah, of course, I mean, sometimes the director just is responsible for cutting things out, but usually most directors want their movie closer to 2 hours, you know, and so when things are cut down like that, it's either because studio interference, I mean, or possibly like they shot scenes that are just, this scene does not work and we cannot reshoot it, so we're forced to cut it out.
Yeah, it could be that they followed through with that character development, but it didn't really fit with the feel of the rest of the movie. Or maybe, you know, stuff got pushed, or they ran out of time and they didn't have time to really film the scenes they needed to wrap that storyline up. But, I mean, the movie's, like Nolan said, it's just over 90 minutes. They literally can't shorten it. It can't be called a feature film if it's less than 90 minutes.
I think you have, like, 80 something minutes maybe.
I
don't remember. It's right around an hour and a half to call it a feature film.
I mean, they could maybe lose 10 minutes off this movie and still be able to call it that. Yeah. So, you know, they really don't have any room to play with on that.
Yeah. So, I don't know how much more we can say about the movie. So spoiler warning, I guess.
Yeah. So Ronda Rousey dies like 5 minutes into the actual operation.
Yeah, which is about 20 minutes into the movie.
Yeah, which is the correct amount of Ronda Rousey to have in your movie.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I wonder, though, why do you cast Ronda Rousey and you don't use her in a fight scene?
Yeah.
Like, she's in a gunfight, but she does not... You don't see her actually fight.
Yeah, why do you cast Ronda Rousey if she's not going to punch anyone?
Right. Yeah, I don't know.
Because there's literally no other reason to cast her. There are actresses who can play tough chicks who can actually act.
Might have been a budgetary thing.
Maybe.
This movie it's not a high budget film.
No.
I can tell you that.
Oh man, there was that one.
I'm sure Mark Wahlberg is probably the highest paid actor, followed by John Malkovich.
I meant to mention this before the spoiler warning, but there's that one explosion with the smoke coming out of that window.
Oh yeah,
and like the rest of the
smoke.
movie looks fine. It looks like they used actually a lot of practical effects as far as explosions and stuff went.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there was this one scene where there's this explosion and the smoke like rolls out of this window, and it just looked bad. And I was sitting there thinking, God, this movie's in IMAX. That would have looked terrible in IMAX.
Yeah. Yeah, I would have.
So,
but so the twist, if we want to get into that, so in the beginning of the movie, the movie opens with this team
raids a Russian.
A Russian.
It's like it's in America.
Yeah, it's in America, and there's this Russian cell operating in the suburb, and they raid that and they kill everyone. Only because they fight back. Like they go in and they subdue everyone, but then the Russians like one of them gets a gun and they fight. So it starts into this whole gunfight, and so they kill all the Russians,
including this 18-year-old kid.
Yeah, this 18-year-old kid,
which they did mention is unusual for the Russians to use someone so young in a like deep cover cell like that.
Right, but they did, and he happened to be the son of a general in the Russian military. So the Russians put this whole op together where they have the guy that Mark Wahlberg's team is escorting is a triple agent.
Yeah.
He works as a cop for this Southeast Asian country of unknown name. He works there, but he works for the Russians, and he goes to the Americans saying that his country is planning an attack on America to get them to take him out of the country, which is just a way for him to get close to Mark Wahlberg's team and get them all killed, or kill them as revenge from the Russian general.
Yeah. Which was like a completely unnecessary storyline for the purposes of this movie.
Yeah.
It was just like kept cutting to the Russians, and you're like, why?
Yeah, it was weird. I thought because like they were being very ambiguous about the Russians and stuff, and they're talking about stuff. It looked at first kind of like maybe the Russians were going to be trying to stop this attack as well. It kind of looked like that at first, but that didn't wind up being the case, obviously.
Yeah. So that Iko Uwais guy who played the triple agent, he was apparently also in Force Awakens.
Yeah, I just saw that. He must have been some
Razu Quinn Fee.
I have no idea who that is.
No clue. So, but
probably in Maz Kanata's castle or something.
That dude, though, man, can he fight people? Oh, he was one of the pirates that came onto Han Solo's ship.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, all right. So now there's 3 things you know him from.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, but yeah, there was that, and then the character development that went nowhere was with Lauren Cohen's character, where like her ex-husband is a vindictive asshole apparently, and he like, you know, he like calls her up and was like, yeah, I just need to confirm that you won't be able to come to the bake sale at your daughter's school. And she's like, you know, I can't go
Right. I'm
And-
in another country saving the free world. Sorry, I can't be there.
And so, like, they developed that
And he
the
keeps
movie.
he keeps trying to
Get
coerce
at
her, get at her, and get her to swear so he can like have that recorded and use that against her in their custody hearing or something, and or whatever is going on. And yeah, he's just being a real asshole to her. And then like she has these talks with her daughter and everything, and then it doesn't go anywhere, especially because she gets killed at the end of the movie.
Yeah, like it just went nowhere. It was so weird.
Yeah, it's like they were trying to develop this character, but it was an unfired Chekhov's gun.
Yeah.
Loaded and not fired.
So, yeah, take that for what you will. Again, the story was not great, but the stories shouldn't also be the reason you're seeing this movie. So, you should be seeing this movie because you want to see Marky Mark shoot the hell out of people.
Yep.
And see this Iko Uwais guy punch the hell out of people.
Yeah.
Which there's a lot of both of those.
Yeah, there is.
But yeah, I really don't have anything else to say about this movie. So.
No, not really. Yeah. So that's
all
it.
right. Next week, I mean, we're gonna try to see Happy Time Murders. Might not work out.
Our next weekend is really full.
Yep. So it might not work out. We'll figure that out though. And then after that is Operation Finale, which will close out the month for us. And then we start getting out of the summer movie season. Because we'll be skipping the first week in September because there's nothing coming out.
I want to see Peppermint?
Maybe. I mean, that looks like another movie that's just like not a well done plot. Like, I mean, it's from the same director or writer.
Director, I think,
as the Taken movies, and 2 and 3 were bad movies. Like Taken 2 and 3 weren't even good action movies.
Yeah.
So
got Predators.
Yeah, and then The Predator.
The Predator.
The second week
and
in
White Boy
September, Rick. And White Boy Rick. I'm excited to see White Boy Rick. I think that looks like a good movie. The Predator.
I'm curious.
Yeah.
Could be alright.
But it doesn't look super great. And then yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything else in that month that we're seeing. Yeah, there's nothing else in September.
The Joan Jett documentary.
Yeah. October is Venom, which looks bad, frankly. And then like the usual like smattering of horror movies.
The most recent remake of Halloween, because they just keep remaking.
This
Halloween.
is a new remake though. Like it's not. It's a remake of.
It's
starting anew.
Yeah, it's the second reboot. Can't believe we made another Johnny English movie.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's what we got coming up. Basically, once we're out of August, it's fairly light. As far as movies go, that's just how it is every year. Deal with it.
Yep.
So, if you like this review, check out our other reviews. We did Christopher Robin last week, and
Black Klansman.
Well, Black Klansman was really good. Christopher Robin was okay, but check those reviews out for more details on each. And be on the lookout for our next review of Happy Time Murders. And until next time, thanks for listening.
So long.
Toodles.